Well, good morning, Leeds United fans. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It is Connor here. We're back with another episode of the 3 things that we learn after last night's 2-0 win against Sheffield Wednesday. Make sure you're slapping a like on the video. Make sure you are subscribing. Let me just push this back just a little bit because I'm a bit close. And yeah, everybody, hope you're all doing really well. Did you sleep last night? I kind of struggled. When you're doing a lot of these bits and this content, you do kind of struggle to switch off. I'll be honest with you. I was right into the dead hours of the morning. That'll go up today on the Patreon in terms of the review of the game. Make sure you check that out. Shout out to a few of you joined last night. I think we're chalking up about, honestly, on the Patreon now, like 255 members, 260. So it's incredible support. So shout out to all of you guys. And I hope you enjoyed the content last night. The watch along was a right laugh. And if you've not seen my goal reactions, you should go and have a look, scrub through. If someone can put timestamps on there, that'd be great. I know you guys love doing that. We did the instant match reaction. Then we had our instant reaction as well to Solomon signing, or Solomon having his medical today at Leeds United, which, yeah, looks like he's going to be confirmed according to Fabrizio and according to Paul O'Keefe as well, who's a pretty decent source down there. Presumably it's going to be confirmed as well by Alistair Gold, who is the top Tottenham source. That was quite difficult to say. And let's get into a few of your comments. Matt J says, good morning, Connor. What a beautiful morning. Love the taste of a Friday night victory. 100%, mate. Rolling Wolves in the building. Morning, Connor. Hope you well. Didn't catch the full match last night. Had to catch up at 1:30 this morning, walking my dog. Shout out to you, mate. Shout out to the American boy, Brendan Aronson. Yeah, it's funny how the rhetoric's changed, isn't it? So funny how the rhetoric's changed. Suddenly he's like everyone's American boy again. That's what football's all about. You know, I saw someone say, oh, well, Aronson's got the attitude and Verba hasn't. And I just thought to myself, all Verba needs to do is come in and put like a couple of like 8, 9 out of 10 performances in. And every Leeds fan will be like, oh, Verba's class. It is just so funny how football works and how we all are fickle as fans, aren't we? And yeah, it is what it is, everybody. So listen, what did we learn last night? Well, it was Leeds' best performance of the season. It has to be said. I've watched extended highlights. I've looked at all the reaction, and obviously I've looked back at, you know, the main talking points of the game, and it was very similar to what I was talking about last night, really, in terms of analysis, where I thought there was 3 standouts, really, maybe 4 standouts in Bogle, Struijk, Gnonto, and Matteo Joseph. And yeah, I think in particular, there was a lot of evidence surrounding why they were brilliant last night, and I wanted to get into just a few bits here. So Bogle, as via FootMob here, I heard a lot of mixed reviews, to be honest, and I really didn't understand it. And a lot of the statistics back up why I sort of thought this. Like, I thought there was a change of winger, as in they went to the other side. I think Masaba went to the other side because he wasn't getting any joy whatsoever from Jayden Bogle. So that was a big sort of compliment to Bogle. But defensive actions 9 throughout the game, recoveries 4. He was only dribble passed twice in the entire 90, which when Sheffield Wednesday are trying to exploit those wide options. I thought it was really good. He won 8 duels last night, lost 3. So obviously they had 11 duels. So that's a really, really good ratio for Bogle. And his ground duels he won 70% of those, and his aerial duels, of which, listen, I know it's only 1v1, but he's been struggling with those aerial duels all season. And yeah, I didn't really understand the rhetoric, to be honest. The stats back it up. We know what he's like going forward as well, Jayden Bogle. He's exceptionally good getting forward. And obviously the criticism from Sheffield United fans at the beginning of the season was he's just not a great defender. And we kind of saw that at the beginning of the season with regards to him against Portsmouth, where he was really woeful defensively. West Bromwich Albion, he got a little bit better. But last night I thought he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And KG disagreed with me. He thought he was a little bit lax. I've seen articles saying he wasn't that good last night, but I completely disagree. And I'd actually say the stats back it up as well when you're looking at a lot of his defensive actions. Might have lost a couple, but he also, recoveries 4. As I say, what does it say? His defensive duels here. Ground duels won 70%. Duels won 8 out of 11. So I'm going to give him a lot of plaudits for last night, and I thought he contributed a hell of a lot to everything good that was happening on that right hand side, including the first goal between him, James, and Aronson. I want to get your guys' thoughts. What do you think? Bogle was good as Bogle is in a good squad. Definitely needs a bit of guidance and coaching. No doubt he will settle. James is in the building. Morning all. Much happier after last night's performance. I agree, mate. Shout out to as well, David Morris. Forgot to shout you out this morning, mate. Becoming a YouTube member. Big up to you, my friend. Bogle is in a good squad. Definitely needs a bit of guidance. As I just read that one out. The league table looks good now. DJ Pass was the best in the game. But yeah, Harvey said as well, Bogle was class. I wanted the sofa to swallow me up when that winger sat him on his ass, though. Going forward, he was prime Ayling over. Yeah, he was. And yeah, he got sat down once, didn't he? But I'm not gonna start hammering him for that. I thought overall he was really good. Really, really, really good. Leroy said 2 in 2 now. Could get a 5th sign in. Morning Connor says, Jay. I agree. I think it was Bogle's best performance in a Leeds shirt, and Darren's in the building as well. Shout out to you, Daz. So yeah, I just wanted to give his shout outs, give him plaudits as well, because yeah, I'm really happy with Bogle as a signing. I was at the beginning. I've been quite consistent with it. And yeah, I think he'll be a really good addition at this level. And I've mentioned him being sort of like top 3 right backs in this division. I'm going to maintain that. And defensively, his game massively improved last night. So let's hope that continues. Okay. What else did we learn? Well, this guy's the best centre-back in the division, and he's a threat going forward. He's absolutely superb at the back. I love this man, and I've always loved him. And again, last night, he was incredible. Now, let's just have a little look at these stats. Tackles 100%, clearances 11. Headed clearances, which seemed to be happening for Struijk all last night, 8. Interceptions 2. Defensive actions 15. Recoveries 4. Same as Bogle. And as you can see on the other side as well, duels won 7. Duels lost 1. And look at those percentages, everybody. Ground duels 100%. Aerial duels won 83%. No fouls committed. It was an unbelievable performance from Pascal Struijk. His build-up is so intelligent. And this is what I'm talking about, everybody. When I talk about football IQ and football brains, this man has it in abundance. Like his passing angles. So there was a point in the first half of which he couldn't meander a ball into the midfield for Ethan Ampadu. So he dropped his shoulder on the left, moved the ball over to his weaker right side as he was being pressed on that right-hand side, created the angle for Ethan Ampadu, gave himself a yard of space, and then just slotted it lovely into the middle. And Ampadu was just in a ream of space because Bannon had gone to press Struijk. And I just thought to myself, that is just so good. It's so good. And for all of you who were saying, we are a better team with Ampadu and Rodon at the back, this is why it was so painful in that period, because we were getting the results. Ampadu had gone at the back, but there were many changes in the starting 11 as well. Gnonto had come in, obviously Bamford had come in at that point. But to actually suggest now he's getting pelters, but to suggest Ampadu at the back was a better option than having this guy at the back was complete nonsense. And I always talk about football being subjective, but you are wrong if you thought that, because Pascal, statistically, eye test, evidence-wise, is the best centre-back, in my opinion, at this level. And what he's able to do for this Leeds United side is so criminally underrated by mass sides of our fan base. But not only our fan base, but by the general overview of Leeds United. It really upsets me. And I will continue to bash the Pascal drum for as long as he is at Leeds United. 25 years of age, and he develops year on year on year on year. And I'm just hoping, for the sake of Leeds United and for the sake of himself as well, that he remains injury-free and we're able to get a full season of Pascal, because last night was just, it was such a dominant performance. It was the game was too easy for him. He was reading it. It almost reminds me of like Virgil van Dijk week in, week out for Liverpool, obviously at relative championship level, but where he's just reading the game so well. And I think Struijk, I'll be honest with you, has been let down massively by Joe Rodon this season. Massively. Rodon's been awful so far this season, a different player. Last night, Rodon was back up to Rodon levels, and that partnership looked elite again. But Pascal Struijk has been carrying that back too, for these first 2 or 3 games. He's been the percentile going forward, the aggressor at the back, and he's been the set piece threat again going forward. He should have scored, shouldn't he? Should have scored against West Bromwich Albion. The ball just went wide of the post. Should have scored, didn't he, against Pompey? But he's a constant goal threat. That's what we need more from when it comes to Joe Rodon. It's that goal threat, which we just don't see from him. Pascal is a constant threat. So, yeah, I'm just so happy for him. And look, I know it's not a jazzy new signing, but yeah, I just think he's so good. Pascal is a stud. It's good to see him back and healthy. Pascal is just a level above. His movement, positioning, passing, and leadership is second to none. 100%, mate. And I was even looking back at the highlights this morning, and when Meslier did that divvy Meslier moment again, where under no pressure he decides to Superman punch it and give Sheffield Wednesday a throw-in, of which Ingelsson is a long throw artist, and Sheffield Wednesday quite nearly scored from that in the second half. But Meslier decides, in his ultimate wisdom, which he has none of, that he's going to palm it for a throw-in, and they get an opportunity of which the lads will have been working on in training to avoid those long balls. And you saw Struijk turn around, and we know he's not a very barky person, but he turned around and just gave him a stare and just kind of give him a "what are you doing" sort of thing, because there's a footballer there with a brain and a footballer there without a brain. And I just thought it was quite funny how Pascal just even was looking back at him just going, "What are you doing?" And they must think that with Elan week in, week out, to be quite honest with you. But it was just lovely to see him doing what he's good, and doing what he's good at, really. But yeah, Struijk did play man of the match, and yeah, unbelievable. Josh says, did I watch a different 15 minutes of Bogle last night? He was in defensive frailties, and that was up against a very mid-winger. Yeah, I think so, Josh. I as I said, mate, he lost, I think the statistic, we've got the statistics here when it comes to his defensive evidence. So his duels lost were 3, so he had 11 overall, won 8 of them, and he was only dribbled past 2 times during the entire 90, and at a high level of recoveries as well in his own attacking third, as you've seen now. I think he had 4 or 5, which would indicate that he's had a really decent defensive performance last night. So yeah, I think maybe because he was put on his arse once, that maybe has overcrowded the actual data behind it. I thought he had a really good game just from the eye test, and I had a look at the data to see if I was wrong and to see if actually he just got rinsed, and he hadn't. He'd had a really good defensive display. So yeah, I think you need to people always need to go back and have a quick look at. Nat says Melee and Firpo are the weak links in that defense. Yeah, I don't want to get too heavy on the negatives, mate, because I thought we were good. I thought we were really good. Yes, they were in complete control, but defensively, yeah, Firpo was doing my head in last night. I have to be honest, but he wasn't exposed enough. But it was kind of back to old Firpo in that sense, and I don't think he's been great so far this season. Similarly to Rodon, really, in terms of they need to find that level again. But I thought the stronger defensive leaders last night were Bogle and Struijk, 100%. But the guy in goal, when Carl Rushworth's available, it really upsets me that we're not going to do anything. And it really upsets me that Elan Mele, I don't have an agenda against him. I don't dislike the person. He seems like a very nice guy. But as a footballer, I'd be shipping him out and driving him. Conor McGilligan will drive him wherever he wants to go. Wherever he wants to go, I'll drive him. And if we just got Carl Rushworth in on a loan, or just even you turn around to Melee and just be like, all right, you got some competition here. Rushworth comes in. You just say to Rushworth, look, it's between you and Elan, but look, we know you're going to get in after one howler. Put him in after one howler. Rushworth makes no howlers and then stays in for the championship season. That would be ideal, but I don't think they're going to do that. Just, I don't know, ship Darlow out. Just ship Darlow out. Have Rushworth in on loan. Pay a portion of his wages and then just have that as competition. We know Rushworth will get in above Melier and just then keep that in. That would help me massively. Luke says I have an agenda. But yeah, the only thing for me is Melier had a clean sheet. Yeah, and this is the thing, like, the beautiful thing about it is we've got 2 clean sheets now on the road, which is 2 difficult places to get clean sheets, West Brom and Sheffield Wednesday, really, when you look at the context of it. But once again, it's... this is what I was saying last season. Is this down to Elan Melier? And this is why you can't judge clean sheets for a goalkeeper, in my opinion, because it's the unit. So he's part of it, obviously. He's part of it. But the majority of it is because Sheffield Wednesday barely got near our goal. And the one time they had the header, which was like an inch wide, Elan Melier was in his goal. So it would have probably gone in. So, yeah, anyway, let's get on to the next bit of discussion. So I wanted to discuss this as well. And obviously this is the goal for Leeds United. And this is just the thing that we were talking about before the match, really. Leeds had recovered the ball on that right-hand side. Aronson been part of it as well. And Gnonto just occupied that number 10 role, played a lovely, delicious ball in between the, just beyond the centre-back, I should say, who's having to come out and press him there. And Aronson does really well to stay on side. Another instance here of Gnonto just being in that number 10 as Bogle's got the ball here. He elects to go right, but you've got that option there. Aronson trying to get in beyond the defensive line between the fullback and the centre-back. Another example here of Aronson obviously not being in the picture, but Gnonto just pressing into that number 10 role and Gnonto picking up the ball here in that number 10 as well. So what do we see throughout the game? There was a little bit of interchange between Aronson and Gnonto, but as we saw in the West Bromwich Albion game, as we analysed before the game started yesterday, Willian Gnonto's position is in that 10. I put it out on a tweet. I've said it from pretty much not Rutter going. You have to have your most technical player in the number 10 in that offensive line, especially when he can play in the number 10. And I'm really happy that it vindicated what I was saying yesterday. So a lot of people were saying, well, Aronson in the 10. And I was saying, look, he doesn't have the vision. He doesn't have the technical ability. And he just doesn't have that accurate passing in the final third enough. Hence why people were still saying he was a little bit sloppy last night to be a sufficient number 10. He doesn't. I like Aronson. Last night was a really good performance from him, but there is one star in that front line right now. There is one star in terms of from the creative aspect, and it's Willian Gnonto who just ran the show last night. Ran the show, bringing the ball up from deep. There was a couple of times where he turned Wednesday ankles. Barry Bannon didn't know what to do with him. And Aronson was able to get a lot of joy from that because, as Rutter used to do, a lot of the Wednesday players were attracted to Willian Gnonto. If I'm to put a slight criticism on Willie, it's just that petulant side has to go to his game. It has to go because it's going to be more of a hindrance and a disadvantage to him than an advantage because he's going to pick up yellow cards. He's potentially going to pick up a red card if he's being petulant and he's going to get sent off. You know, that's something Rutter doesn't have to his game. Gnonto's got that edge to him, which I do like. But what you don't want is that to sort of overshadow some performances because teams are going to get stuck into him this season because he's going to be, in my opinion, Leeds' main creative outlet. And we're going to get onto that in a little bit when it comes to transfers. But yeah, I'm massively happy with what I saw from him last night. Him in that 10. Aronson out wide. It did feel like last night for a lot of it. And yeah, that superb ball through to the weight of pass. That's what I'm talking about, everyone. The intelligence, the football IQ, the weight of pass. Aronson still last night, in phases, the weight of pass wasn't there. You cannot be a number 10 with an off weight of pass. The weight of pass for a number 10, as we've seen through our number 10s in the past, you know, even Samu Saiz, Pablo Hernandez, Jorginho Rutter, and now hopefully Willian Gnonto, the weight of pass has to be perfect in that position because you're under pressure and you're the outlet in that third. So yeah, that is Willian Gnonto. It's unfortunately, it's no one else in the team right now when it comes to technical ability. Let's have a look at what you guys have said. Jay again says it was a great performance. Get a few more bodies in this week, so it gives us a good platform to build on against Hull next week. HMS, the league is on its way. The whole move with start to finish was excellent. I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. James in the building, Patreon. Morning, Con and all. How good was Bogle last night? Passed on another level. The whole team were very good, mind. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Gnonto ran the whole game. Leeds fans gave their all last night, and you could hear they sucked the ball in the net. They were really loud and sounded like Leeds at home, says Cookie. Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. And this is what I'm saying, Leroy, as well. 7 passes for the first goal. We don't always have to have 477 passes. We can just have 7 passes. We have the ability within our side to destroy teams very, very dynamically, fluidly, and quickly in transition. We don't have to do this thing where even when we're trying to break teams down, when teams are coming forward, if we're accurate with our passing, if our passing's on point and it's not sloppy and there's not a chink in that build-up, 100 Leeds will destroy many teams this season. I think that's why you have to have someone who's as technically advanced at this level as Willie Gnonto in that number 10. Okay. Jay says, love Willie, but he has to wind his neck in at time. Think he needs Ampadu or Struijk just to grab him. I'd agree, mate. I'd agree. Yeah, I think you bang on with that. Could not disagree with that one. Yeah, and what else have we got here? So the 3 things we learned, once again, Ampadu and Gruev. I was surprised by Gruev last night. I thought he was really good going forward. But Joseph and unfortunately, from what we can see right now, I couldn't get up some screenshots and I couldn't really get the data to back it up, which I was looking for this morning. But from the eye test, went back and watched some of the extended highlights of the West Bromwich Albion game, of which there wasn't a lot of. Now, what did a lot of people say this morning with Gruev, last night and this morning with Gruev? He got further forward last night. Why? Instruction from the manager. Why didn't Gruev get forward against West Bromwich Albion? Because the manager was too worried about us getting further forward and West Brom just popping that ball over the top and exploiting us behind the midfield. But just in between the midfield and the defence, which is always the cute spot, the sweet spot when you're attacking a side. It's getting in between that midfield and that defensive line. Okay. So what did we do against West Bromwich Albion? We made sure we were compact. Now, having a defensive line, even though Leeds play quite a high line, but having a defensive line and a midfield line that's close together means what? It means the attacking player is going to have to do everything up there and going to be completely isolated. Now, I am not on this bandwagon that Matteo Joseph has had a bad game. Even 2 out of 3 good games. He's had 3 out of 3 good games, in my opinion. Because what Daniel Farke's tactic did last week was completely nullify him, and he was never going to have a good game up against those monsters. What we did in this game, because he was up against monsters again in Bernard and Iorfa, massive physical blokes. He was up against those, but what did Leeds United do? They pressed as a bit of a unit, okay? When we were trying to win the second balls, we're doing the second balls as a unit. The midfield, as we've said with Gruev was further up. Ampadu was further up at points. And obviously then you had the 3 in front who were much further up. So you didn't get Matteo Joseph so isolated when he'd be backing into Iorfa, moving into him, ball maybe bouncing off him. There was a man to pick the ball up and then Leeds to get on the counter attack. Happened with Junior Firpo, happened with Willie Gnonto, happened with Brendan Aronson multiple times in that first half. If he's not isolated, Matteo Joseph is going to have a really good game. You might as well just put Joe Rothwell up front against West Bromwich Albion, because we were going to do nothing offensively. We were going to try no build-up. It wasn't going to be a game of which was a pretty game. It was just going to be defence and try and nullify anything that West Bromwich Albion had. So the criticism for Matteo Joseph last week was not fair and was not warranted. He did a lot of what he could have done as an inexperienced lad up against 3 vets at the back, 3 massive players with huge experience, and Leeds and Daniel Farke did not set up systematically to help Matteo Joseph. Didn't help him whatsoever. In this game, he did, and he absolutely schooled Danny Roll tactically. I have to say that. Did a really good job of pinning them back and really isolating where they were weak and really sort of giving Leeds those beneficiaries from where Leeds are strong. Gnonto drifting into that 10. Aronson is a constant menace, and Dan James pressing up and pressing back Jan Valery, and I think it was Max Lowe on that side. So yeah, from my perspective, it was a really good night for Matteo Joseph, and I'm buzzing for him. Absolutely buzzing for him. Yes, Kim, it is, mate. Kim, You've got to stop, Kim. Right. I understand. I completely understand, mate, that you've got these studio standards for me. I'll tell you what, you donate a bit of money, mate, and I'll invest in absolutely everything. So you want this studio standard from the camera, from the microphone, from the lighting. I am not in a studio, my friend. I am in a second bedroom of which we've converted into a tiny bit of a camera studio. I don't have the facilities to do what you're asking, mate. So calm down on the production value. I'm trying my hardest, mate. But as you can imagine, financially, it's a bit of a stepping stone. Trying my hardest, mate. And I'm not taking offense to that, by the way, but the whole nitpicking every single time I'm on a stream saying this isn't right, this isn't right, this isn't right. Not I trying to be helpful. Okay, let's get on to Manor Solomon. I don't know why we signed Perot. Yeah, I agree, mate. And also what I will say is when I'm coming forward like this, it's going to be a little bit out of focus. When I go back, it's a little bit more in focus, or it should be fully in focus, guys. It's when I'm edging forward to select these screenshots from the laptop. And I will say this again, you're getting all this for free. I'm not charging you for this, so come on, let me off a little bit. Okay, let's get into Mr. Manor Solomon. So Leeds United, pretty much agreed last night that we were going to be going and getting Manor Solomon. I'm not going to speak about everything off the field because I tried to give a little bit of a unified sort of statement on it, and I had to take the video down because people love to be offended. So I'm not going to do anything off the field. So let's not get into the politics side of this because there's no point. There's absolutely no point. Will it cause division? Has it caused division a little bit? You can see it online already, and we want a united force going into this season. Of course we do, and it's not nice to see Leeds fans arguing. It's quite toxic already, and it is what it is. Look, but let's not delve too much into that. But Manor Solomon. Now, my initial thoughts on this one. I want to break this down into just sections, really. So he's missed 33 out of 38 games last season and 17 the season before. Now, I spoke to a Spurs fan last night who said he's got a lot of ability, a hell of a lot of ability, but he's just never available. He's never healthy. Now, what do we know with Leeds last night? They're going to be paying him a big, significant portion of his loan wage. Why is that significant? It's significant because he's on 60 grand a week. So a lot of people are thinking that by championship standards, that means that Leeds are going to be paying 20, 30 grand. I think we might be paying maybe a little bit more than that, potentially close to 35 plus, which is a lot for a loan signing who has been rarely available. Let me just blow up this so I can read it a little bit more. Will this increase? I don't know. But there we go. So what did we see from a positive when he was at Tottenham Hotspur? There was a great chemistry when he ever came on with Heung-min Son. Now, the comparison is someone like Bryan Gil, who hasn't been great for Tottenham Hotspur. And when he's been exposed to those minutes, he's not been great. Gil at Tottenham Hotspur. And the comparison from Spurs fans has always been Solomon Manor to him. Now, Manor has made a difference when he's come on, when he's been fit, when he's been healthy. He's looked really decent as an impact sub. Now, there is an argument that he's way too good for this level. Obviously, when he played at Shakhtar, I believe he cancelled his contract and Spurs were able to get him for a free, something to do with the Ukrainian war. But he scored against Real Madrid, had fantastic games in the Champions League, and La Liga clubs have been in for him this summer as well. In Getafe, and Premier League clubs were in for him last season. He was doing really well at Fulham before Spurs signed him. Obviously scored that wonder goal against us from outside the area and got 2 assists in his first 3 games, I think it was, a couple against Burnley, and then got injured. Now, my overall sort of synopsis and thoughts on Solomon is a lot of what you see from him is him cutting on that left, cutting in his right foot from that left-hand side. We've got a lot of that now. Ramazani, Gnonto. So is Gnonto now going to be deployed in the 10, maybe potentially? But Aronson, in pre-season, he was pulled on that left as well. We've got a lot of players who can play out on that left, and I just wonder, are we kind of just is it overkill in that area? I'm fine if almost that's just so let's say we've got 3 signings left and that was the 4th of 3. And what I mean by that is that's just almost like a reserve signing who can impact the play, of course, but I'd still want us to go out and get 3 players. I still think we need a 10 cover on that right hand side and a fullback. So yeah, I'm just hoping that's not it, because we are so stacked on that left-hand side now, but we're not on that right-hand side when it comes to natural out-and-out wingers, and that's where Salah would have come in. But I just don't know if we're shelling this amount of money wage-wise into a loan like Solomon, and we've got obviously a fullback and potentially another midfield that we're going to get. Are we going to go and get a right-sided player? I don't think we are now. But I do feel he's slightly one-dimensional, and I do wonder. I mean, Premier League level, he has been quite readable, but maybe that's different with Championship level. Andrew Postecoglou, some Spurs fans have muttered that maybe he didn't fit into that Pressy system, which is interesting when we're looking at Daniel Farke's system. And he's had 3 significant injuries in 5 years, which I think the key thing to look at here is a meniscus injury. Now, if you damage the same area, as a lot of you will be in sports science and physio, if you damage that meniscus area multiple times, it's very, very difficult to get that explosiveness back as an athlete. And Tottenham Hotspur fans were pretty much saying the same thing right now. And he's averaged 15 games over 5 years. And as I've just mentioned, there's a fair few Spurs fans who have said that since his last injury, he's sort of lost that explosiveness. So, as I said, listen, the hope for me as a Leeds United fan is that Solomon is, and look, I've got to be objective. There's people who tell me that, there's a lot of people who tell me that every single signing that I have, that we have, I get really excited over, which I would push back on. But this one, it's all right. It's all right. Like, it's okay. I don't mind it, and it could work, but I just think, if this is one of our options with the injury record, I mean, I'm pretty sure he was out for like, and this is just a tweet backing it up, Alistair Gold put out there that he asked, this is the 15th of March, he asked Postecoglou about Manor Solomon, no real progress, he's still not comfortable, the medical team are looking at other strategies now, and this was pretty much 6 months into an injury. So I think I'm just a little bit worried, because on the left hand side we've got a lot of bodies now, which is, we've got a lot of depth there, which is great, but there has to be balance on that right hand side. I know James is there, but I don't think Gnonto's going to be deployed out there. Aronson won't be either. So effectively, you're just going to really have James as cover. We need some real quality out there now, someone in the 10 as well, and a fullback for me. But I went on Reddit as well, and I just wanted to get a little bit of a detailed explanation of the injury that he's pulled up here. And this is interesting because it's from a sports physio. And he said it's simple. If you can avoid suturing the meniscus, do a resection on the injured part. This is all a bit of physio jargon, everyone, but it'll give you a breakdown and you'll be back in 4 to 6 weeks. But with the downside of increasing the risk of getting arthritis when you're 40, 50 years old, blah, blah, blah. If the tear is small enough and at the right place, you can make a suture, but it's not always easy to know the outcome beforehand. You can rehab back to full fitness without surgery as long as you don't suffer from locking, which takes 8 to 12 weeks. So my guess is that they either did a suture when they shouldn't have, obviously regarding the physio on Solomon, and need to make a resection of the meniscus that is damaged, or they haven't told the whole story and Solomon has a cartilage problem as well. My money goes on the latter, as the medical team on this level should be very good. And then obviously he was asked is he a doctor, and he said physio, specialist in orthopedics, worked in professional men's and women's football for 10 years, not at this level obviously, but the medals from winning the leagues, blah, 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 blah. So it seems like a bit of a serious injury, sort of last 3 in his 5 years. And that's where my worry is. Now, as I've just said, if this is a signing of which, I'll get excited over it, of course, and hopefully, touch wood, he's going to be playing, week in, week out, and we're going to get the best out of him. I'm just, him and Dan James are very similar as well. And I just think to myself, who would I rather have? Dan James is going to be a little bit fitter. He's going to be, on that sort of level, championship wise. We know Solomon is a substitute at Premier League level. Dan James is probably a substitute at Premier League level. Is there that much between them? I guess it's just adding artillery to the ranks, which is good. And I'm not downbeat about this whatsoever, everybody. But this one doesn't get me as excited as Ramazani, I have to say. And I know you guys are probably going to be hammering me for that because it's a new signing, but you can't win because you either get too excited or you don't get excited enough. But yeah, I would hope that Leeds are still going out and looking potentially at another 3 signings for this one. But I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below. Let's have a look. Um, Oh, guys, can we just focus on the football in the chat? Let's just have a focus on the football in the chat. We've got a footballer, and I know there's more issues, but let's not have toxic arguments on different beliefs in the chat. It's pointless. Let's just talk about the footballer right now, everybody. Look, come on, let's just focus on that. There's no point in you guys getting in there and just arguing with each other. It's a waste of energy. Solomon plays in the 10. No, he doesn't. The majority of it, he plays off the left, mate, but he can play in the 10. But yeah. Sakamoto says it's like buying a car that's mostly been off the road and comes with an MOT. It feels like you might as well book a bed next to Pat Bamford. Solomon wasn't first choice at all at Fulham. Gunslinger says, I'm a little split on this one. If he's fit and he's ready to play, I can see his ball carrying helping us, but I'll gamble on keeping him fit. Maybe don't need, let's have a look. Maybe don't need a right-sided player at all times. James, Gnonto, Bogle can all cover that conversation. Toxic argument is a reason stay clear, though, isn't it? And when it comes to the player, mate, this is what it was always going to be like, and people just arguing with each other in the chat and over social media. That's why I made that initial video, mate, because it's going to divide the fan base with your political beliefs. But this is a channel where we're just trying to focus on the football right now, everybody. So I'm going to leave that. But yeah, LJTM, shout out to you, mate. But guys, before you leave, please slap a like on the video. There's over 1,600 of you in the building. Please make sure you let me know what you think in the comment section below. As I say, try keep it friendly, try keep it nice, and make sure you leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you noticed anything else, check the videos out from last night. I'll see you in a bit.